Alright vlog, so this is what we got. Not necessarily for the week. We have spaghetti. We have the croissants to meal prep breakfast for the week. Now the breakfast is for a week. We got 2 dinner items though. We probably gonna have to grab, because now that I'm thinking about it, we either gonna later in the week have to grab some green beans or grab some now. But I still want to wait because Publix the only one that got my creamer right now. So we're going to have to go back to the store anyways. But this is what we got so far just to hold us over. And yeah, get into it. We grabbed some Olipop for me, of course. Some brownie bites for me, of course. But we can share with Jaden. And then I almost forgot the bell pepper chow. The bell pepper and the onion is our new meat in the sauce because we do no meat spaghetti and it still be busting. Like it don't even need the meat. But anyways, we good for real now. Now we headed out. Really, Nico? Alright, y'all. So, December 15th, the word we have is choosing contentment. The verse we have is coming out of 1 Timothy 6, verses 6 through 7. NLT version. It says, yet true godliness with contentment is itself great wealth. After all, we brought nothing with us when we came into the world, and we can't take anything with us when we leave it. So many people in this world are motivated by the desire to have more. Perhaps we are tempted by the lure of materialism more than we care to admit. The temptation is hard to avoid as we are bombarded by the media at every turn. The rich man in Mark 10 had trouble with this issue. He was unable to give up his possessions and money to follow the Lord. Most of us are not rich in the eyes of the world, but as Christians, when we come to a place of contentment with what God has given us, we are indeed rich. Godliness with contentment is itself great wealth. Are you struggling today with discontent or even covetousness? Surrender your desires to the Lord. Choose contentment and enjoy what you have. Dear Lord, I am so sorry I am discontented with what you have provided for me. I surrender my desires to you and thank you because when I have you, I have everything I need. That was so good, y'all. I love even starting with the title with choosing contentment because contentment is a choice, right? Like we have to choose to accept and be okay with and be content with what it is that we have. It's like in order for us to have more, or for somebody to even want to give us more, like not even just God, but just in general, like if somebody sees that you don't appreciate what it is that you already have, what would motivate them to give you more than that? You know what I mean? So with choosing contentment, I feel like when you start to appreciate what it is that you already have, it gives you the opportunity to be more creative with what it is you have and to just make you learn how to work with what it is that you already have. And I feel like it's definitely motivating to yourself, even when you're in a position to where you're making good use of what it is that you have, because you realize how much you actually can do with what you have. And so it's just encouraging that once you do get what it is that you want, one, you're going to appreciate it more, but also two, you're going to have a better idea of how to work with that thing than you would have if you just started with that immediately. You know what I mean? But aside from that, in the devotional, there were some points I wanted to talk about. So with starting out with the first line, how it says that so many people in this world are motivated by the desire to have more. It's just like, first of all, I feel like that's promoting greed, especially in the day and age that we live in now. It's like there's always a constant need for bigger, for better, for more. And it's just like a lot of the time when you have more, one, it's going to be wasted, but also two, it's like to consistently want to have more, that's draining at the end of the day, because it's just like you're exhausting yourself with trying to outdo yourself or outdo the next person, or you're just constantly trying to level up, and sometimes a level up isn't even necessary, you know what I mean? And ultimately I feel like it leads to burning yourself out, because it's just like there shouldn't always be a constant need for that, you know what I mean? Like, you should just be fine. Not even once you get to a certain level, but it's just like it further proves that you'll never be satisfied when you accomplish whatever goal you feel like you want to reach, because it's just like it's always going to be another goal after that. It's always going to be something bigger and better after that. That's why it's important to be content with where you are and what you have, because even if it doesn't change, regardless of if it changes or not, you know that you're going to be okay. And that the other stuff ultimately wasn't even necessary. It shouldn't make or break you. You know what I mean? And the next line where it says, perhaps we are tempted by the lure of materialism more than we care to admit. I feel like that's definitely a fact, because it's easy to say like you don't care about materialistic things, but I feel like we all have that certain goal that it's like you're trying so hard to reach, whether it's like materialistic or not. It's like we have to really sit down and think about like, okay, if I never have this in my life, will I be okay? You know what I mean? Because I feel like we're all ultimately driven by something. Like we all have wants and desires and things like that. We all have something that we're chasing, that we want to achieve or accomplish. And we have to get to a point to where it's like, what really matters is our focus. Is my salvation enough? Is my relationship with Jesus enough? Whether he chooses to bless me with the next thing or not. You know what I mean? Like we have to really get comfortable with that, because I feel like the more you think about that, the more you realize like, wait a minute, I might be more materialistic than I thought. Because for a lot of us, that answer is more than likely no, or I don't know. You know what I mean? If we're honest about it. And how it touches on the temptation being hard to avoid as we're bombarded by the media. It's like the social media is so toxic in its promotion of things that really aren't even necessary, like the overconsumption and the materialism and all the things. You know what I mean? It's just like these things aren't even the things that are important. And I feel like once we realize that we're rich just where we are, like, is your health good? Are your kids good if you have children? Is your family good? You know what I mean? Are your relationships thriving and flourishing? Do you have community? Do you have food on your table? Do you have a roof over your head? Like, even just the regular everyday stuff, like, because everybody doesn't have that. So it's like once you realize how rich you are with what you already have, you realize that everything else is just a bonus. You know what I mean? And I love how it mentions the example in Mark 10 about the man who wasn't able to give up his possessions and money to follow God, because it's just like, it gets to a point to where you acquire so much and you're used to living a life that way, that it's like, if you lost it all today, you would probably spiral out of control. You know what I mean? And we have to get to a point where those things are not the end all be all. Those things are not gonna steer you away from the truth. It's not gonna steer you away from Christ. It's not gonna take your focus off of what matters, and that's things that are eternal, because these things that we have on this earth, all of our accomplishments and accolades and all those things, they're all gonna pass away at the end of the day. So we don't want to get to a point to where we just have so much that it's like it becomes our identity, it becomes our comfort, it becomes our everything, essentially. Like Jesus has to be our everything, and everything else after that is just additional. So godliness with contentment is itself great wealth. I love that it says that. And it even asks the question of whether we're struggling with being discontent or covetousness, because I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, let me get it together, like, because I didn't think about that. Am I being this way? And it's prompting you to surrender what it is for the Lord and to just choose to be content at the end of the day. And I love the prayer as well with apologizing to God for being discontented with what we have, because ultimately, if his word tells us that he provides our every need, then what exactly is it that we have to complain about or want for? You know what I mean? So it really just puts into perspective that, like, we have to be more appreciative of where we are and what we have, and stop being greedy. Like, we have to be okay with, if we don't get what it is that we want, is what we have gonna be enough? We shouldn't put our value, or we shouldn't be reliant. Nothing should be totally reliant upon whether we achieve a certain thing. You know what I mean? So as long as you're saved, as long as you're healthy, as long as you're fed, as long as you have somewhere to stay, and not saying that if you don't have these things that you shouldn't also be content, but it's just like realizing that we already have exactly what it is that we need. The only thing that, for a lot of us, the only thing that we don't have is our want. We just really have to check ourselves to be like, wait a minute, like, I have everything I need right now. Everything is going to be okay. And if God allowed me to be in this position, it's obviously for a reason. So let me see what it is that I can make the most out of that I have, that I may be taking for granted. You know what I mean? So I pray that this blessed you all. I pray that you're encouraged to choose contentment, because if you're not choosing contentment, you're choosing the opposite, which is discontentment or being discontent. And I don't believe that that's pleasing to God. So just really ask the Lord to reveal your heart posture on that, and just ask him to show you how to be content with what it is that you have, and to help you appreciate what it is that he saw fit be met need-wise. You know what I mean? But yeah, just be encouraged that you have everything that it is that you need, and the more that you realize that, the better everything will be. You won't have to be stressed about acquiring more, or how worse your life off is because you don't have a certain thing, because ultimately that's a choice to have that mindset. You know what I mean? So I pray that y'all were blessed and encouraged by this word. I love you guys so much. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share if you feel like it, and be blessed. Go do a good deed. Give your life to Christ if you have not already. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Love you.